Yeah, I just read an article, it was on the front page of the Australian at the pub, and it was about the AFL. And there's been quite a bit of controversy last few days about the AFL, and because there were some incidents in the weekend where they had these security guys with were wearing an outfit. On the back it reads Behaviour Awareness Officers. Officers? Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, there you go. I'll have it on screen anyway. But behaviour awareness. These guys go around basically policing the way that the crowd acts, to the extent that that they're censoring the behaviour of the cheer squad, for instance. It's just bizarre. I mean, it's political correctness gone absolutely crazy. And what was interesting is that this particular story was right next to another story about people in Hong Kong protesting against the Beijing government crackdown on freedoms. Mass protests taking place in Hong Kong, and I'm just thinking that this behavioural awareness patrols that are going around grounds, basically security guys in a new incantation of them, that's all I can figure them they are, basically is very Orwellian, and it's similar to the social credit scheme that they're having in China, where people are basically having their having restrictions on travel if they're not regarded as a good citizen. They are not able to travel inside of China or overseas, and so that really hobbles their lifestyle. Probably also affects their ability to get finance as well, because that's happening in the West anyway. Look, Chase Manhattan Bank over in the States actually culling out people depending on their political affiliations. They're basically telling the customers they don't want their business because they don't like the way they swing politically. It's just bizarre. But there's another real shocker recently. I told you, it isn't actually recently, it was actually back in 2015, but I hadn't heard about it, and it's pertaining to a former employer of myself, the ANZ Bank. They have actually got what I regard as a blatantly sexist policy of actually providing all female employees with $500 more superannuation than male employees because of supposed gender inequality pay gap, which is total BS as well. So this is just unbelievable. But the AFL has got to the stage where the fans are getting really angry because they can't even say the tamest things against the umpire. They used to be fair game, the umpires. Used to be part of the fun of going. There was a cathartic exercise going to the AFL to be able to vent your spleen where you couldn't do it in normal society. And but not anymore, because the AFL now, in its politically correct way, is actually quelling this level of free speech. And I guess everything's hate speech in their eyes, even though they're a pretty left wing, while pushing a lot of left wing issues in basically branding lots of big games. Things like I don't know. I mean, they had the Indigenous one that's been going for years between Essendon and Melbourne, Essendon and Richmond, my own team. But they're bringing up other issues like domestic violence and stuff like this. I mean, they're getting into the realm of politics as opposed to sport, and it's a very dangerous trend. I think, I just don't like it at all. I mean, the thing is, people want to go to sport for an escape from politics, not to be drowning in it. That's the last thing I want. So, yeah, these behaviour awareness guys have been causing a lot of angst amongst supporters, especially this weekend at matches in Melbourne. So I don't know. I'm glad I've left Melbourne, to be honest with you. It's just the place doesn't have much appeal. It's got lousy weather, especially this time of year, and with stifling political correctness thrown in. Not a great mix. But that thing about the ANZ, I wasn't even aware of that. And I do have ANZ shares, and I will actually be looking at disposing of them as soon as I can, but they've never. I bought them at a high price, unfortunately, and I won't be able to dispose of them until I get close to that price anyway. And that could be some time, because the housing market's going to be in the doldrums for years. Fair chance of that anyway, and the economy's not doing too well, so banks aren't going to be going gangbusters for a while, one would think. Who knows? Well, they had that 0.25 reduction in interest rates. It's fairly pissy, but I suppose it has some positive effect. Anyway, it's about 5 o'clock on a Monday in Cairns, and it's been another beautiful day, actually. Another good day. I've only actually had to wear my wind cheater a couple of times recently in this winter, and I mean, it's getting way past midway through winter now. It's only lasted about a month, and I've only had to wear my wind cheater on a couple of mornings. And mind you, I'm keeping the big doors shut, so because I get a big cross breeze, so it does get quite nippy when I get up, which is just after 6. So you know, where the air's pretty cool, then it does warm up pretty quickly, and that's the big difference between here and say a place like Melbourne, is that once it starts warming up, it gets up to quite a reasonable temperature pretty quickly. Whereas in good old Melbourne, on a cold day, if it's got a top temperature of 12, well then you're looking at probably about 10 degrees most of the day, and even into single figures when the sun isn't up. So that's just normal. So it's a big difference to here, where it never really drops that much below 20. So it's pretty damn good. And it's quiet, maybe a bit too quiet at times, but it's a pleasant enough place to be. So yep, there's always seems to be issues. Apparently the Libs are doing something about freedom on campuses. Dan Tehan, the Education Minister, is making a point of promoting freedom at those institutions, and it's well overdue. Oh, the other thing I found out, I think there was $17 billion is paid from the federal government to our universities per year. So, I mean, it's bad enough, always bitching about spending over $1 billion on the ABC, which I still believe is an incredible waste of money, but it's a piddling amount compared to what's being spent on universities. And I mean, I don't think it's asking much of them to basically just to provide some freedom of speech. I mean, the whole point of university is supposed to be a place where you can actually express yourself with alternate views. But now the people with these alternate views have become so things like hate speech, those concepts have made it impossible for people to have alternate views, because everyone's so easily offended that you can't have robust debate. It's ridiculous, and it will be the death of the places unless they reform themselves. And apparently parents are contacting institutions to find out whether they're actually, how they hold on the Freedom Index. Apparently the University of Western Australia's made some big strides in that area, so kudos to them. But Sydney University sucks big time. They're very much politically correct. So yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. But anyway, they can't affect the weather yet, so that's still pretty damn good. So I'll enjoy that as the sun sets. Almost the shortest day of the year. Oh, I got my handyman guy got back to me today too. He texted me and he gave me a quote of around $200 to get the plaster work done on those holes in the ceiling after I had the lights changed. The lights have been great, by the way. I love those LED lights I've got that replaced the old fluoros. Fantastic. But this guy was recommended to me by the actual electrician who installed the lights, and he seems like a reasonable guy. I hadn't heard from him for a week because he's expecting me to get back to him, and there was a miscommunication obviously there. But yeah, he gave me a quote, texted me a quote, and he said around $200. And that sounds a hell of a lot better than what I was quoted by. I went through a local guide and got a initial quote of $500 to do, it's 5 holes, 50-cent piece size holes in the ceilings that need to be plastered over. And the first guy I contacted, he first gave me a quote of $500, and then he sort of backtracked when he sort of jacked up over it, and he said, oh look, it might only be $350. Still a hell of a lot more than 200. I was hoping for around 100 or more, but that was being overly optimistic. I think 200 is a more realistic figure. So, and if he's a good handyman, I'll keep going with him, because I need that sort of connection. You have someone like that can do those sort of jobs, because I don't know someone I can rely on that's not overly expensive. And yeah, this guy could be the goods. I know I could be paying a lot more, that's for sure. I mean, I'm pretty happy with the tradespeople I've had so far. I was very happy with Byrne and the floor tiling job they did on the 2 bedrooms. Brilliant. He did it quickly, he did it efficiently, and his customer service was excellent. And I paid the quoted price. And the same thing happened with the electrical work. Really quick, and they charged exactly what they quoted me, so pretty happy. So fingers crossed things will go well. Seeing that this guy was recommended by the person who did that job, I'm feeling pretty confident he'll be all right. So yeah, it was more than I expected, but I think I was getting mates rates with the person who used to actually do my maintenance work down in Melbourne, and that was through a friend, and he was a friend of mine drank it with this guy at the pub, and he was just he was doing it ridiculously low rates, and he was just a nice guy, and he's sort of like a friend. So I didn't realise that we had a friendship there. He was basically giving mates rates, so it was fantastic. I gave him a bit of work over the years, so it was good on my house and the flat. So, but he was great. But he's got health issues now anyway, and of course he's living in Melbourne, so it's a little impractical. I'm not going to fly him up to Cairns to do the... Actually, if I had a big enough job, I suppose I could actually justify it. He could stay in the other room, but he's actually not that well, so he can't do it anyway. But yeah, actually the rates he was charging were so competitive, I probably could have afforded to pay for the airfare, so if it was a big enough job. So yeah, he's pretty flexible. He did a lot of different work for me. Let's get through here. It's a pain. I hate having to cross over here. We really should have a pedestrian crossing just here. So, here's peak hour, mind you. This is the worst the traffic's going to be. So yeah, look at that beautiful sunshine, and again, not too windy. Thank God, I've had so much wind. It's about time it abated. But yeah, it's very attractive. It's a good lifestyle. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you, or entertainment or whatever. And either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great. But please don't ignore me. That's the worst thing you can do on YouTube, is be ignored.